to Hydra's teeth. And what do you want to talk about today, Og?
I don't know. Since we haven't spoken enough about it, let's talk about white people in space acting a fool.
Okay, then your absolute favorite comic book franchise, Star Wars.
Don't lie. This is a show of truth and justice, my friend.
For those who don't know, he doesn't like Star Wars that much. Well, you don't.
No, I don't like white people in space. If Star Wars had other than white people in space, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, well, not this issue. So, this is Star Wars #1 issued by Marvel Comics. So, the Star Wars franchise is back with, because Disney bought Star Wars.
It didn't go anywhere. It's back with Marvel. Sorry, okay, that's what you're going to say. I'm sorry for cutting you off there. Carry on with
Yeah, thank you for letting me finish my point.
I'm sorry, we're not in space, so you got to stick with me.
Yeah. So, Star Wars comic books with Dark Horse for a lot of years, like many years.
Yeah, I don't know the exact. We'll find it.
Fair enough, we'll throw it up, yeah. And Disney bought Star Wars, Disney
bought Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah, at the same time? No, different deals.
They have enough money to do
they do both. Anyway, so now Star Wars is under the Marvel title. What do you think about this issue, Og?
Why don't you think about that issue first, and I'll tell you what you think is wrong.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It carries that Star Wars tone with it.
Too much. It's too fucking creepy. No joke. Afterwards, you should take a look at it. It's really fucking creepy. It's almost like you're watching the first little bit of the movie. Like, they do everything exactly to the movie. It's weird.
Yeah. They have the tone. They managed the artists and writers set the tone for Star Wars right. This feels like
artist and writer.
Yeah, whatever.
One artist and writer on this stuff. Like, I know you think Star Wars is that epic of a series where it'd have to be multiple writers and artists, but it's literally one and one.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, cool. Thanks. It's well written. It matches the Star Wars movies in tone and setting.
It is actually well written.
And that's really the best part about it. I mean, if you're interested in Star Wars, pick it up. That's what I would recommend. There is one page I don't like of this. It is where Princess Leia and Han Solo are talking. And it's fucking... it's drawn... It's completely...
He's coming off as quite the lady killer. Princess Leia, shut the fuck up. Go to the kitchen straight.
No,
don't join that chick from Feathers in the kitchen. Don't shut the fuck up and cook. Okay? The black butler will take the food out to the other white people in space. so go on. So when Princess Leia opened her mouth and Han Solo didn't slap her in the mouth for speaking, you didn't like that, eh?
Yes, Og.
God damn.
No, it's them talking about... It's her questioning him on why he's being such a good guy. And it's too long.
I don't think they actually did that in the movies, did they?
No.
Well, then,
not until like the end of the movies.
Well, then normally when I'm dealing with some sort of shady character who, I don't know, sells drugs for a fucking living, I'd be like, hey, why are you doing all this good stuff?
No. I understand the motivation. No, I'm not questioning the motivation. It's just in this comic book, it comes off as just kind of off. It just doesn't match with everything else going on in the issue. It just goes on for too long.
Yeah.
It's too wordy. But outside of that...
Actually, oddly enough, that's how I feel about Star Wars in general.
But in general...
In general.
I liked it. It's good. If you're a Star Wars fan, pick it up. I mean, it's #1. We don't know where it's going. But to start off the series,
I know where
they did a good job. Where's it going?
I can't tell you because then people are going to send in hate mail. Actually, nobody mails anymore, so...
Yeah,
I don't know where it's fucking going, man. It's Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
Probably more white people with white problems in space.
Yeah, there we go.
So we might be fortunate enough for them to have another colored person hop in for maybe an episode or two until he shows his true colors, sells out, and makes it up to the white people for selling out, whatever. So Star Wars. Plus, on top of that, if you're a Star Wars fan, there's Princess Leia coming out in February.
Yeah, and then Darth Vader as well is coming out.
Yeah. And in the first episode of Princess Leia, it's her challenges with trying to figure out how to operate an oven. Should be on Mike's top 5. So.
Number 2.
This is when we start getting into actual good comics. So.
Holy fuck.
Holy fuck. Jesus is a badass in that.
He is a badass in that.
Yeah.
I think the best just really it sums up the entire comic book is when the nun busts into where Jesus is and he's like smoking drugs with a bunch of hookers and there's like tentacle porn in the background. Clearly tentacle porn in the background. That sums up the comic book. Yeah. I don't really understand.
Any other plot points you want to reveal there?
Nothing really, just Jesus.
Actually, I can't believe that's a plot point.
But it is though.
I kind of is. So, Jesus doesn't give a fuck. And this, he's straight up gangster shit.
Yeah. The ending's pretty funny, too, what he's saying in the end.
The bonus story, they put in the bonus story because they actually give a fuck about your dollar. You know, it's not Marvel. It's not completely littered with commercials and then just rehashes. And so, but yeah, it's...
you know what? For what it is, it kept me thoroughly entertained.
It's believable because if Jesus was white, I'd totally expect him to be that way.
Yeah.
So, like,
but also living for so long, like of course you get into drugs and shit like that. Imagine living for a couple thousand years.
Well, I don't know if they've stated that. Like, I think it's the second coming, and just that's literally where first place he rolled up to was a whorehouse. So our third coming.
I mean, if you're gonna destroy the world, might as well start with it.
So.
Yeah.
Well, he's not trying to destroy the world. He's trying to.
No,
stop
of course he said no. It's Jesus, and then there's
a bunch of paganist gods. Kind of got together. They're buying a corporation just to keep things a little bit discreet there, so you can actually enjoy the comic if you want to read it. So they're trying to fuck up the world, and a nun searches out for Jesus and finds him, and Jesus drops the pipe, picks up the gat, and carry on with America.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty interesting read. If you're religious, it's good. If you're not religious, I'd put it down. So it's really how the Bible should have been read.
Yeah. So it'll keep me entertained for sure.
Yeah. So let's go. Put it up. At first, I thought that was a printing error. I'm like, wow, that's really dark for a night. Then I realized, wait a minute, have my hopes and prayers been answered? Is that literally a colored man on the cover of a comic who's not Black Panther or Luke Cage? And lo and behold, it is. So by default, this comic is already the best comic I've read. Period.
Yeah.
So, in actuality, it's actually a half-decent comic.
No, it's actually pretty good. For its price point, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah. Especially, too, because other white knights they're not in there, they don't like them much.
Yeah, instantly don't like him.
Yeah, but I don't think, it might not be because of his skin color. But
no, I believe it's what he is. He's like epic hero of an order that's been gone for a long, long time. So.
Yeah. So, Reyn Image comic just came out this last Wednesday, where if you're probably watching this, that was like 2 Wednesdays ago. Whatever, you do the fucking math. It came out in January, you fucking ass cunts. Either or, it's pretty much a sword and sorcery story.
Yeah, it's pretty simplistic.
They kind of just painted the picture of the realm that they're in. Pretty cool, too, because it's him just taking his journeys, and he runs into a little bit of a problem with somebody and sort of stays around to help. And then at the same time, you get introed into the villain just by half chance. Like, one of the guy's spies sees him, runs back to the main villain, and they refer to him as something, I can't remember the exact, I think they call him a warden. Either or, they referred to him in a way in which he doesn't refer to himself. So it might be like he might be one of those.
Oh yeah, warden.
Yeah. He might be mentioned as like a man of prophecy or whatever, but it's pretty cool because I don't think he knows his own relevance in the story.
That's what it really seems. It really seems that he's just a traveling warrior who doesn't really understand how deep he is or what he's really.
And then he runs into a young woman who runs into a little bit of a scandal because also at this time they're kind of still on that fuck the witch shit. But she has some sort of telekinetic ability or some sort of magical abilities. Yeah,
I mean, what I do like is that they don't overly explain everything. Like this issue is, I mean, it isn't like they're keeping it completely in the dark, but they're not going out of their way to explain, oh, she's using this type of magic. Yeah. Or this, that, and the other thing. Or they don't really explain who these guys are, but they will at a certain point, which is always enjoyable because you don't like having information shoved down your throat.
Yeah, and they established, I like the Reyn character because he's kind of a guy, I think he's a law-abiding dude.
Yeah.
But not all the time is that a good thing because there's another guy almost in the same status as him, and he has that beef with that lady, who I can't remember the name for right now, but and he doesn't jump in. Like it's him and a bunch of knights trying to beat the shit out of this girl, and he doesn't jump in.
In fact, he's just mumbling to himself.
Well, he's not mumbling to himself. He's like, there's no point in jumping in because she's handling herself, right? Exactly, so we'll see what type of person he is and what type of story this gets into. But for a number one, it's pretty damn good, and it is a black person on the cover, which is good because apparently, if you're a superhero, you gotta be white or at least have 10 white friends if you colored to get a comic.
Yeah.
So, or speak with dogs and be really agile. Like I'm very, very sick of the stereotypical black characters. So this guy's an intelligent dude who can use a sword, and he's well spoken.
Yeah.
So usually you can't get all three of those in a colored character in a comic. So you're either well spoken, but you're stupid. Or you're just like super thug. Your only ability is you can punch things really hard. So, which I've never understood why that's always like a black ability. At least like Hulk can jump and his strength is infinite, but like just black people just you can fight well. I can't wait till they come out with like the black villain Drugosaur, man. He just sells drugs like crazy or some shit. Come on, Marvel, think about it. All right, last comic.
Burning Fields.
Burning Fields, aka this comic will fuck with your brain, man.
Yeah, this was actually, it's good.
Surprisingly good, man.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what to think about it, but just from the previews, the way they had the okay, so if you look at that cover, it looks like there's an explosion happening in front of a minefield. But if you look into that explosion, it's kind of like there's a skull inside of that explosion. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, so like those images, I'd see a couple of those, and then they had like a one-page spill out of the comic in one of the previews before, and it looked pretty good. So I ordered it. I picked it up, and it just came in this Wednesday. And man, you start reading this comic, and you're like, oh man, this is like, you know, Is this Arabs versus whites? Is this white versus Arabs? Is this Muslims versus Christians? Is this politics? Is this Iraqis versus Iraqis? Like, it fucks with you in terms of like you think it's all, and it's weird too because at the beginning of the comic it shows you what it is, but you forget about that the next page because it's just literally, you know, and you just for whatever reason my mind circumvented what I saw.
No, it was actually
dude's getting tortured, no big deal. He wants information.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end of it, it's like, wham, no, fuck you. It's not about any of that shit. It's about this. But, like, they'll probably go back and touch it. So, it's like the way they put everything together to make such a nice cake. It was pretty good, man.
Yeah. I mean, they have lots of different storylines.
Yeah.
No, not really stories. It's all one storyline. Lots of different characters. And well-done characters.
Yeah.
Like, they covered each character really well and how they interact with each other and how they trash talk each other and how they one up each other. Like it's a really.
There's not a lot of trash talk in there. I think there's a lot of like one more word and I'm gonna fucking shoot you in the face. Yeah. So.
But that part's done really well, and when it slips into the big reveal on the last page, it sideswipes. You don't expect it.
Yeah, I don't know if we should call it a big reveal though, because it's not fair, man. It's not like it's a reveal. It's weird. It's not a reveal. It's not like they're like, let's hype you up to this. It's like it's a side story. They're essentially speaking, there's a serial killer going on, and they got to find the serial killer. Yeah. Right? It's just a reveal sounds like they built up the whole comic to the end.
No, it's not. No, yeah,
it's not.
Right.
The whole comic builds up to something, and then it's like, it's like you're walking to the cliff, and then you fall in a tiger trap. One of them fucking. You understand what I'm saying? Before you even get to the cliff edge. Yeah. So it's not a reveal. It just kind of slaps you in the mouth.
Yeah.
So.
But it's good. I mean, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it is good because it's dumb white people, dumb brown people, smart white people, and smart white brown people. Like literally the way the world is, man. It's not your race or skin color that dictates your intelligence. It's your ability to fucking believe in Star Wars or not. So if you believe in Star Wars, you're a fucking retard, and obviously dumb.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah. What the fuck? So, we got a special segment today, because apparently someone actually watched the show and had some pretty good questions. First question was by some fucking weird-ass dude, Glory Godification or some shit. How do you survive in the ghetto? Well, I'm assuming with a dumb name like Glory Godification, you're a white dude. White people don't survive in the ghetto. See that? It's dangerous out here, man. So if you're white, don't go to the ghetto. That's how you survive. Okay. Now the other person actually had some relevant questions. First question was, would we have guests on the show? Yes, we'd have guests on the show. We'd literally do anything on this show to get people to watch the fucking show. Literally.
Yeah.
So, Mike, why don't you take a back seat there and we'll get our guest out here. Well, introduce yourself, motherfucker.
My name is Errol.
Errol. If you're wondering where our budget went, it literally went on his wardrobe. So, now you might say that's not a big of a budget, and that's literally what we've been telling you. So, what was the other question that this douchebag asked? Because, you know, one question apparently turns into fucking three. And me in the backseat, man.
It was, what comic inspired you the most?
So for me, that would be Transmetropolitan by Warren Ellis.
Ew.
So it's a completed series. It's finished now. It's all collected into trade paperbacks, and they've been reissued in 2009. The originals were 2003.
Looks good. What's it about?
So it's basically, in a nutshell, it's not Warren Ellis. It's Hunter S. Thompson, but in a cyberpunk, futuristic, drug-infused, but like crazy techno drugs and like aliens gene splicing into humans and just crazy shit, but like heavily social commentary and politically charged and classic Warren Ellis stuff. It's excellent.
Okay, nice. For me, it would have to be The Watchmen. When I first got back into comics, I used to read comics as a kid. I fell out of them, and in university, I was introduced to a class called graphic novels. And in it,
You had that as class?
It was fucking awesome.
Man, your university sounds way cooler than mine.
Yeah, it probably was.
I didn't go to university.
That's why you're in the back seat.
Yeah.
No one told me this when I was in high school, man.
Yeah, well, you know.
Sorry, man. I
okay.
didn't finish university, though. I just went for the 1 year.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was a really good class, and we covered things. We covered The Watchmen, Daredevil Born Again, Batman.
Did you cover why the only fucking colored people that they show in comics are excessively violent?
No.
Stupid ass course.
Yeah, no, it was more a fluff course. But anyway, we were into a whole bunch of graphic novels, and it was The Watchmen that got me back into comic books and back into graphic novels. It just so happened at the same year, the New 52 rebooted, so it got me right back into comic books. So
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because that's actually the very first comic I ever read,
Yeah.
which is pretty neat.
yeah, no, it's a classic. I mean, for those who don't know what it is, essentially it's a superhero murder mystery that just spirals out of control. It's for me personally, I find it's one of the better written comic books. It isn't like the absolute holiest book of all time, but it really shows what you can really do with the graphic novel and comic book medium. The way the paneling works, the way the comic is, it's really meta.
The color palette as well. Even they tell part of the story just through the selection of color palette.
Yeah.
Like the level of detail in the methods that they're conveying the plot points to you and what they're commenting on. It's excellent.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and
it's
the extra content, man. Like the,
Yeah, I mean, it
snippets of the books and the psych profiles.
Letters and newspaper articles.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's self-contained and it builds a world completely, and it's really what you can really do with comic books. That's really one of the best example of how good you can make comic books.
Yeah.
And for those who have seen the movie and never read the comic, just like informationally, it came out as one issue per month for a full year, 12 months, and it's set in like an alternate reality of the years that it was coming out in. So it's supposed to be like a Cold War story, but it was told during the Cold War.
Yeah.
And the sense of feel that everybody has during the comic is like this higher level of tension than what existed in reality. They were closer to nuclear war than in reality. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty good like grim.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think
Yeah.
instead of the nukes, they just replaced it with Superman. So
Dr. Manhattan, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a good one.
Well, in the comic, it wasn't
Dr.
nukes though.
Manhattan?
It was the big ass and pussy alien.
Yeah.
But they didn't show that. They didn't show that in the movie, so you're
movie.
getting confused. So if you're a retard and you actually enjoyed that movie, you might want to read the comic because the comic
It's infinitely better.
It's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, there's just too much shit in the comic that they didn't put in the movie.
Andy Warhol contributing to the invention of a biological psychedelic psychic murder
monster,
alien
yeah.
bomb that looks like an ass and pussy.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Tentacle porn.
Yeah.
I had to take a 5-minute break when I got to that.
anyway, I mean that's what got me back in it, and it's a great place to start. So really, when I look at comic books, I look at it very much from that academic guy. I like looking at characters, development, what it's telling, stuff like that. So it really kind of frames how I look at comic books. How about you, Locke?
What, do people in the back of the bus have an opinion?
Only when we ask for it. Yes.
Okay. What was the question?
What comic book inspired you the most?
That's right, you beat my motherfucking drum. I Killed Giants, actually, oddly enough. It's something I read recently. But I'm not going to go over what it's about because it's going to make me sound like a soft piece of shit, and I'm not. I'm hard as fuck.
Yep.
Written by Joe Kelly. Give it a read. It's a good comic. It's a really, really well put together comic. Just about a young girl's trials and tribulations with life. But it pretty much stems to a lot of things with people and a lot of people's trials and tribulations. So it's a good comic. So if you want to learn something, if you don't want to learn something, there's a lot of Marvel comics you can read. So, but I Kill Giants. That's probably where I put it at. So
Cool.
yeah, which brings us to question number 3, because this dickhead had to ask 3.
Yeah. Well, question number 3 is, what comic book do you has the most personal value in your collection? Not monetary, like actual personal value too.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd probably say Transmet, because I've got the full collection in trade paperback at home, and that was the first full collection I ever had, like the first full series. So yeah, and it's also my favorite, so
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
Okay, I have something completely different. When I was a kid, I read 2 comic books exclusively. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whatever volume they were on at that point, or the Adventures, or whatever the hell they had out, and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You brought Sonic onto this show?
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
So it would be...
No, I guess I shouldn't say that because this is personal value, eh? Good thing, personally, to me, you're a doormat. I'm joking. What? I like the Rasta Sonic. What was his name? Knuckles, that's it. What did I say about colored people with violence on the
Rasta Sonic.
Actually, the best part about this is that you're going to have a robotic version of Knuckles punching Sonic. So
What?
So it is. It was a storyline along the original 50 issues.
You have 2 issues in there too, eh?
They
Yeah,
had
yeah,
50 issues of Sonic?
Oh no, they're up to 300 now, man.
Well, I guess.
But this was the original meta arc,
Uh,
based on the original 3 Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Dude, he has 5 fingers. That looks so weird.
that's wild. I thought he had 3 fingers.
No, he has 5 in the comic book. Anyway, this
Look how
particular-
weird that looks.
Those look weird.
They're like, it's like Michelangelo sculpture hands, you know, like gigantic fucking Statue of David hands. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Anyway, so
Look it up. Look that shit up. His
Okay.
fucking hands are
Anyway.
huge.
Maybe he has a big penis or some shit.
No, it's because the sculptor was fucking neurotic. Couldn't. He was like fucking George Lucas with the hands.
Oh, okay.
anyway, so the original 50 meta arc is actually I mean, it's kiddie. It's aimed at kids, but it actually has a little flair of darkness to it, a little bit of flair of not adult
Such
theme.
a nice
but-
guy. If I tell you to fuck off, that's darkness in your day.
Yeah, sure, why the fuck not? Anyway, and so this particular one is called Mecha Madness. Essentially, I don't know how much you guys will know about the Western version of Sonic, which is not the current version, which is fucking gay.
What? What? That's confusing.
Okay, no, the Western comics like Fleetway and Archie comics, their original runs are completely different from what you're seeing in Sonic now from Japan, and it was a little more adult in this
You mean
universe.
it all just in the comic universe, not the game universe? Or anything?
No, because yeah, exactly, just this comic book universe. Okay. In this universe, Robotnik has one.
Or Dr. Egg?
No, fuck Dr. Eggman. He's always robotic to me. Anyway, he's one in this universe. He literally owns the planet. And
Did he
Sonic
used to be
and his
called
friend-
Dr. Egg?
The Japanese game he started off, he was named Dr. Egg.
Yeah. Anyway, so
not know.
he owns the world, and it's these guys are free, and Sonic and his friends are all freedom fighters trying to fight back. So it's a kind of a flipper of role where it's not Robotnik trying to win. He's already won. He owns everything. You're fighting against like waves and waves of robots. In this world, he has a machine called the Robotnicizer. Essentially, it converts metal, flesh into metal, converts you into a robot.
The games had that, didn't they? I remember.
Yeah,
that
it had little
from-
critters in this, but this one actually
Yeah.
converts you into a robot,
Huh.
and you become a slave to him. But you're still aware of what you are,
Yeah,
that you're a
'cause at the
slave.
end of Sonic 2, didn't you have to fight Metal Sonic in the fucking Robotnik's fucking secret lair?
Yeah.
And then friggin' you beat Robotnik, you beat the lair, then the lair comes crashing down and you go falling into the sky, and then Tails saves your punk ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Flying in a plane, even though he can fly
Himself.
by
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah. Anyway, so in this particular storyline, Sonic gets captured and turned into Mecha Sonic, where he fucking just levels his hometown. It's pretty dark. It's pretty interesting. For me, it isn't necessarily a story. It's such a great story. For me, it just reminds me of one of my favorite comic books as a kid. I keep it around. I keep it in bag. I read through it every now and then. It surprisingly holds up for what it is and who it's aimed to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, pretty much.
What's changed? That's the setup, man.
You're gonna make such a great father one day.
If I ever have kids, I've obviously turned into a retard.
Hawk, what's yours?
That was hard. I had a hard time with it. Because, like, literally, who does Jesus look up to? You know what I'm saying? So, but it came to me. And it was always sitting in front of me. I see it every day. The comic with the, like, personal value, if we're going to talk about something this is what I value a lot, would probably be Infinity Gauntlet Thanos, #1. Like literally, it's a pretty good comic. It's very diverse, especially in an era when a lot of the stuff was pretty much like really cookie cutter. Jim Starlin really gets I read a lot now in regards to just stuff like he wrote The Cult. I was talking to Scott about that, the Batman Cult series where Batman took a turn for like the paranormal dark. Like Jim Starlin's just a really fucking good writer that doesn't get a lot of credit nowadays. Anyway, so he wrote the Infinity Gauntlet, but the cover is just fucking bing. And I got my hands on that a while ago, and yeah, that'd probably be my most valued comic. Actually, oddly enough, I don't think the comic is valued very highly. But that's literally because there's no Thanos movie, but we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah.
Morally speaking, yeah, I love the Infinity Gauntlet. So I've always been a big fan of Thanos. Anyone who's like literally life goal is to have sex with death is great. Well, I don't know if it's as simple as that, but that's Thanos' whole thing is like death speaks to him, and you're not really sure if it's like he's totally insane or if that's actually death speaking to him. You can get arguments all day long about that, but so everything he does is more.
Yeah, I like stories like that where you like can't tell what's going on with the main character's reality, and you have to try to piece it together from their actions. Like it reminds me of Memento a lot, and stuff like that.
All right, I guess we're done for the week.
Yeah. Well, thanks you guys very much for. Hey, sit down. We're not done yet.
No, we're done because there's people here who probably want to buy
stuff. So
that would be nice for business.
Thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.